Hello, beautiful hearts. My name is evonne.wylie, and welcome to the cycle report for the 22nd of May 2020. I sit here in Dja Dja, Wurrung country in Central Highlands, Victoria, Australia, in the Southern Hemisphere. So here in the Southern Hemisphere, we are 2 weeks past Samhain or Halloween, which marked the death of the earth cycle. So it's like the deep harvest. It's the third harvest of the seasons, the final harvest, and what we were harvesting, for example, in our gardens was the pumpkins. Think of the jack-o'-lanterns. And what has really struck me this week, 2 weeks past that point, and it certainly feels there's been a definite shift here in the energy. We've had the first frosts that feel like it's a real, when we first see the frosts, and the frosts feels like it's a really low to the ground element, and I feel like we're being pulled and dragged into the inner space, into the underworld, a bit like Persephone when she went into the underworld. It's that drawing in. And what's really struck me this week is, we now have all these pumpkins that we're making pumpkin soup out of, but what is also happening is that we're collecting the seeds from those pumpkins. And what are the seeds that you're wanting to take into the new cycle? After you've let go of everything, what is it that you feel when you let go of things? I've been doing the evoking Inanna descent, which is based on a pre-Christian mythology called Inanna. Funny. And Inanna walked through 7 gates to sit in the underworld with the dark goddess Eshkregal. And what we're finding, so there's a little group of us doing this amazing big epic journey. And what we're finding as we walk through each gate and we let go of something or surrender something to the dark goddess, that there's a seeding that comes from it, or, something that you feel after the point that you've let go. It could be freedom, self-love, all these seedings that I feel that we're collecting, that when we start ascending up in July, August, September, and the fertility point in the wheel, the newness of the wheel, the dreaming part of the wheel, that's the clue, what you need to take in and bring into the next 12 months. So it's such a fascinating witnessing. Have a think about, what are the seeds that you're collecting from this descent phase? We're deep in it. This is the last point of the last 12 months. And, have a review. What's happened in the last 12 months? Have a look at, what the seedings were in July, August, September last year, and have a think about what the harvest was. And then have a think about what are the seeds that you collected from that harvest. It can look like anything, it doesn't have to be all, roses and lollipops, but, what have you learned? What is it that you really want to learn from this, this 12 months? And, it's a clue, as I said, I think last cycle report, one informs the other. So, it feels like a really important time to just really take stock and to sink into underground and just into the inner space. We're really being caught into the inner space. We've had here on this land, we've had the first frosts, which to me, the frost is like that stillness and that quietness, and they're really low to the ground. Your eyes are drawn low to the ground because you can see all the ice on the ground. So it's all about the coming in. And overlaid with that, so this feels like a very, very potent time because we are on this dark moon, new moon precipice. So tomorrow in the early hours, so Saturday morning in the wee hours of the morning, we click into a new moon. So this dark moon is all about the letting go. It's the last new moon, dark moon before winter solstice, before they click over to the new, the new 12 months. So it's Yule, which is winter solstice, Yule. And then we are in this point in the moment where the moon and the earth are pretty much aligned, and it just feels like this potent magic that we can create here of the deepest of deepest letting goes, and the most deepest of seed gathering, ready to plant come, winter solstice, which feels like an epic magical time as well. This is, it's, as my teacher Jane Hardwick Collins would say, this is the space in between. It's the space in between the death, which was Samhain, and the birth, which will be Imbolc in August. This is a space in between, and this is where the magic happens. This is where the seeds are collected, and this is where we are just really coming into ourselves and taking that moment and just go, what is this? What is this, right? What is this, as Nettie would say to Anana? Anana would say to a Nettie, what is this, as she walked through each gate? And Nettie would say, quiet, Anana, the ways of the underworld are perfect. They may not be questioned. So coming in, what is this? What has been? What is this? What am I taking? What have I learned? And so at this dark moon, like today, and tonight, very, very potent letting go. Last point of letting go of the moon cycle before winter solstice. So, your dark moon prayers, under this dark moon, I let go of. Tomorrow, Saturday morning here in Australia, Eastern Standard Time, that's when the potent, seeding. What is it that you want? What seedings do you see that you are taking into this new moon phase? And it's all about, it's because it's a Gemini dark moon, new moon, which is all about communication, and it's all about the thinking, and it's an air sign, so it's all about, what is it? I'm thinking. It's that looking at the details and say, okay, what is it that I'm wanting to take from this, and to change it and to push it out again? If you think of how wind works, in, out, so, it feels like a very, very potent time. So tomorrow morning, you'll be like, under this new moon, I give great thanks for, and what are the seeds that you saw in the letting go, which will inform the next part of the cycle. Because, whatever happens at the start of a cycle, any cycle, life cycle, moon cycle, earth cycle, you name it, menstrual cycle, will inform how the whole cycle develops. So, very, very important and very important to bring consciousness to the dreamings and the seedings and the letting go. So that is the moon cycle and the earth cycle. So if you haven't noticed already, very important time. My personal cycle, my menstrual cycle, which I all invite you to look at if you're a bleeding woman. If you're not bleeding, or you're a man or a child, it's a moon cycle dominant. So, you'll be in feeling the dark moon, the drawing inwards. But for women who are bleeding, it is a menstrual cycle dominant cycle. So I am about day 24. So, almost lining up with this moon, which has been slowly moving. And so what day 24 looks for me is that I have this drive and this push to get things done, because it's, the deep harvest. I have a normal 28-day cycle. So it's like that, got to get it done. I can feel the drawing in, but there's still shit to do. So I'm really, really busy and wanting to get things done. So have a look how that lines up for you, with your menstrual cycle, and then overlay it with the moon cycle, and then overlay it again with the earth cycle. And what does that look like? What does that look like for you? So just one announcement, I guess, that I'm doing Shamanic Counselling and Healing, and it's so amazing. And the women who are signing up to do this work with, who journeying with me through this process, I'm just so in awe. It's so friggin' beautiful to watch, the transformation. And I guess that's why I love to be a guide through the dark in the underworld. So if that interests you, please send me a link, an email down below. Also, sign up to my new moon newsletters, because that's where all the information is, and we have articles there. And also check out my website, www.evonne.wylie.com, where there's, again, lots of articles and beautiful things there. So from my heart to your heart, so much love, beautiful ones, and potent dreaming. Thank you. Bye.